So first of all, you need to know that you're talking to Vanja magazine. It's Croatian music portal devoted mostly to rock and metal music. So at the beginning, what can you tell us about the latest album, Weather Systems? How would you present it?
Well, probably the most complete work from start to finish, cohesive, that we've done in a long time, if not ever, really. For this record particularly, we worked with a producer at the beginning of the process. It was Krista Andre Sederberg. When we started with him, we were originally planning to just do an EP, like a few songs, but we worked so well together. I remember after a few days, I brought in an old riff of Danny's that he'd written years ago and completely forgotten about. And I said, guys, why don't we try this? And within a couple of hours, we had the song recorded, done. You know, bit of jamming. So that improvisational thing and just working so well with this guy. We sat down that afternoon and thought, you know what, if we do this again, we've got a full album. Why do an EP when we can do an album? So that's exactly what we did. We took some time off, come up with some other tunes, and we went to his studio in Oslo, in Norway, and we recorded 5 other tunes, one of which didn't make it to the final cut, but the other 4 did. The other 4 were Untouchable, Part 1 and 2, The Lost Child in the beginning and the end. Those were again indicative of the sort of progression and the evolution, really, of the sound of the band. So they became quite important songs in the end. And then it just perfectly balanced. We got the songs to balance perfectly together. We went to a 3rd studio, finally, in North Wales. And this studio was great. It was an ex-military bunker. Okay, so it's like military barracks, you know. The walls are 4 feet thick. There's no daylight, so it could be any time of day. You have no idea. There's vinyls, there's records like all over the walls, like just up and down the corridor, and it's got like red lights on it, and it's a narrow corridor. It looks a bit like a submarine, you know, with all these pipes going along. Bizarre place, really strange. But we lived there as well because we had little small rooms, so we were working 24/7, you know, whatever time. Especially me and Krista, we were doing very long days, like, you know. But it was great. We got it all done, and then sit back and listen to it and realise that okay, all right, yeah, this is the best production we've had by far. You can see the songwriting is maturing and that's coming together really well. The melodies are a lot stronger than before, vocal melodies especially. Leah's singing a lot more. That's working. And I don't know, we just found a natural way of working, so it feels like the beginning of something, really, you know. So I think the next thing that we do will be a continuation, but probably more of a departure, but still one step further down our path, you know. It's been really good, and the response from everybody has been absolutely fantastic. It's been got great reviews. It's been nominated everywhere. There's a lot more people coming to gigs these days. So I think it's going really well. So we're looking forward to doing the next one now.
You already have some plans for it?
Yeah, we've got loads of ideas. Yeah.
Great. And if you go back through all your albums, how do you see your natural development over the years? Because it's interesting.
It's like a natural progression from your childhood through adolescence, through dark times, through trying to find your feet, and then finding him eventually. You know, there's certain flashes of songs like across all of the albums that I think, okay, that's a bit special, and there's other ones that I'm not that into. I guess that's normal, you know. Yeah. I see it as all a complete, honest sort of progression, really. I don't know if I could have predicted it. There's no way you can predict that, right?
Of course not.
But yeah. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see by the time we hang up our guitars, just to look at that body of work and see. Because I don't know where we're going to go next,
Okay.
I've got a strong idea for the next album, yeah, but after that, and who knows, so...
The sky's the limit.
Well, it's going to be a really interesting study to just think, how did they do that? And all of that going to this, that's just bizarre, I think it's good.
It certainly is. And what can you tell about the first two songs on this album?
Yeah,
it's interesting because it's actually the one song in two parts.
Yeah. You could say that the first half is kind of dealing with this situation of having to let somebody live their own life and to try and pick up the pieces and move on in your own life. So part two is more of a kind of after the fact, in a way, really. Number one is still a little bit going through it, So there's a progression there, and I think because maybe because the first one's a bit more aggressive and the second one's a bit more calm, it's like that makes sense in some way, and it ends on a positive sort of feeling as well. So
there was also an interesting video for the song. So what inspired it with those skies and everything?
Yeah, well, obviously the weather systems are a metaphor for emotional systems,
Okay.
It could have been called that, really, and that's really the storms, the internal landscapes that we inhabit, and our storms of the mind, and and everything, the peace, everything, everything in between. So that's where that comes from. And Lasse already had a lot of this footage together, and he suggested to us that I could do this for you, this would really work, and we were like, absolutely, go for it, So it's good, we like people, directors and people and artists with very strong ideas, very capable, and also like vision of their own for our music, rather than us having to do everything, I quite like the collaborative aspect of working with other people from different media. Yeah.
And what we also noticed is that album covers are pretty much connected from the "We are here because we are here to do better."
Yeah,
systems.
I think these two records are a little bit connected as well. Some of the songs came up around the same time as "We're Here Because We're Here," so they feel a little bit connected to me, just a bit,
Okay. And this will be tonight, I guess, your third concert in Croatia. Yeah, it's the third one. What do you expect this time?
I never have any expectations before going on stage, ever. I prefer not to. It kind of spoils the surprise,
Okay.
I just want to get on and then take in everything, take in the room, take in what's going on. Just see, how it looks, how it all feels. And then forget about it all and go into the song.
Okay. So, as we said, you're here for the third time, so over the years, what did you manage to learn about Croatia and the audience and the people here? Do you actually have any time to think about those kind of things?
We have no time to actually see anything. Never do. We're just kind of in for a concert and then leave, so you can't really get a perspective on a place.
Yeah.
You can get a perspective on a gig, and the people you meet at that gig, and everybody seems really cool. And really laid back as well, I find. There's a kind of everybody's chilled and they do the job and get on with it. But yeah, certain people are more excitable, and certain people are more laid back, and I think you fall to the latter, a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much I agree because, he was on the first gig here, I was on the first gig here, and we are again here, so it seems your audience is pretty loyal and
yeah, that's good. That happens all over Europe. It's there's people who have been listening to us since the beginning, and they've followed the progression. And there's people who've said, you know, you're the only band from that time in my childhood that I still listen to. You know,
Yeah.
because you know, as people grow up, their tastes change. But they said, okay, well, you're the only band that I've listened to since the first album. Everybody else kind of don't really listen to anymore. There's a couple of people I've met who said that. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But then it falls pretty logically as well when you consider how much that we've progressed. So it makes sense, really.
In the end, what would be your message for the Croatian fans?
Well, I don't know. Our message is just. I don't know if I have a message to give to anybody. You know, I have music to give to people, and you know, we'll always be honest at what we do. Always be real. Always, we'll never fake anything, and we'll never do anything to try and make money, and we'll never do anything to try and be famous. We'll never do anything for those kind of wrong reasons. What we do, I think what people appreciate, is utterly 100% for ourselves, because we have to do it, and there's no real choice in the matter at all, you know. So with that, okay, you know, I guess it's interesting. I think yeah, I mean, what we do appreciate so much is the audience, you know. It's like, because without them, would we really do it? I don't know. But it makes it so much more worth it, you know. So for us, we really appreciate all of our audiences. I'm out there every single night after a gig, meeting everybody. You know, I don't hide away from anybody. I don't pretend to be a rock star. I don't pretend to be whatever. You know, I like to. Life's too short. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I like to meet people.
Great.
So.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
What's up?